matter yesterday. Okay. Okay, doesn't matter. Let's describe it. It could get very smoky. There's lots of warnings out there about not throwing cigarette butts out your car and being very careful because we're in extreme danger. What's going on?
I see Mike. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
We're in extreme danger right now of causing forest fires, causing fires on grassland and that.
Yeah, that's happened. If you ever gone down the Netherby Road there,
yeah,
and you go along the train tracks that are there that come out of the tunnel under the canal. Every once in a while, I've seen several times where the grass is being lit on fire, maybe from sparking train wheels. I don't know.
Yeah,
but the whole area in there just goes into a big fire. It's not a very dangerous one. It's a low-level fire because the grass is cut.
But with the current dry conditions, it's not dangerous, but it could cause a lot of smoke, and there's a lot of problems in the air right now.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, day before yesterday, I walked out to my car and I could smell smoke in the air, and so it was pervasive. So yeah, there's. I don't know. We're just in a situation where we have to be careful.
Well, Weather Canada are saying basically be very careful on the road if you smoke. Don't throw out things that could cause fires. If you smoke, don't throw out cigarettes. That's essentially what they're saying.
Well, they're also saying yes, bogart that joint, which means if you're doing a reefer somewhere, having walk through the woods and you're doing a reefer, make sure you bogart that joint, because if you just throw it in the grass, it might light up, and you'll be too stoned to know that it's happening.
Yeah. Fair. Okay. Girl Guides of Canada are suspending U.S. trips right now.
Yeah, this is a kind of a sad situation, but I thought it was just because of their reaction to not sort of a reaction against Trump and his tariffs and his sort of a attack on Canada. But that's not much of the situation at all. The situation is they have many different people from different lands in the Girl Guides outfit, and they're worried about them being grabbed by ICE or some other immigrants, or at least even being delayed. So for now, they're going to cut out the U.S. In this particular case, they're going to go to Mexico instead, south of Mexico. That's outside of the cartel area too, so it's going to be safe. The cartel area, I think, is more in the northwest area and along the western northwest areas of or western areas like Sinaloa. But so they have in international guides too everywhere. They're all worried about what will happen to their Girl Guides that come from different parts of the world or immigrants to different European countries or Canada, and if they cross the border, they may get hassles. So to avoid all that, they're going to exclude the U.S. for now. Unfortunately,
this is the same problem that many people are foreseeing about the next year's World Cup, about people who are coming getting hassled.
Yeah. Also, a lot of European tourism has been stymied for that same reason. And some Canadian, but most Canadian tourists is just do not supply the U.S. with tourist dollars for now, while there's trade wars going on. But for other people from other countries, they're afraid they're going to get arrested.
Yeah,
and
when they're only there for that short trip, the games, or the Girl Guides, that short trip, whatever that short trip's about.
Yes. Well, just as an aside here, I'd just like to point out that I had a pleasant afternoon with Gary Wilkins yesterday, and had a couple of beers with him, and he's in a complete denial of his jealousy of my shirt. Not this particular shirt, of my shirt with that had the parrots and stuff on it.
Yeah, I saw his picture. Great, I saw his picture. He sent it to me. Yeah,
he was so jealous. He wanted to rip it off me, and
he said, "I got my pen. I got my pen." He says, right. I should find it and put it up on the, put it up.
Yeah. He did confirm to me too the other day. I was talking about working at the old 4th Avenue Signament and my boots going on fire. It's he confirmed that, and he did similar work, and it was number 6 furnace.
Yeah, I've no doubt you were right. I've heard the stories. I would never doubt anybody who says their boots caught on fire when they were doing a cleanup job like that. It's
it was changing copper electrodes or plates on the. I don't remember exactly. I remember the job, but
yeah, I know you don't remember the specifics, but I get you, but jobs like that have got to be done, and you can't wait because it takes, like you were talking about the steelworks, it takes days for those to cool down, if to fully cool, if ever, and if you were going to do that, you never get the job done.
I did a lot of work like that.
Yeah.
And it's hot outside, and you go and then work on everything that's still hot.
Yeah.
And it stays hot.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So in Sinemet's case there, I think they said, well, who do we send in the furnace? Oh, get the chubby guy with the loud shirt and put him in there.
Okay, so back to the Girl Guides. Essentially that's the reason, is that they're looking at, they just want to have their members stay safe.
Yeah, there's lots of ramifications from the Trump administration, whether you agree with them or not. There are some unfortunate, and until things stabilize, and they get their immigration thing sorted out or whatever, then the country can open up again. And believe me, the United States is one of the most interesting places on the earth. It's the 3rd or 4th largest country by land area, and it has vastly different areas in it. We think of America just as one kind of a person.
Oh, yeah. There's some utterly fascinating places in the US.
Yes, so I can't wait to all.
And I don't mean the giant balls of string.
Yeah. What do you mean? That's top of my bucket list. See the big ball of string.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'll just be glad when this is all over and it shakes down and settles down. So Girl Guides, little girls, can be free to go and enjoy aspects of the United States, which they normally would have. Unfortunately, when they're afraid to go right now, and let's just wait. Hopefully next year this is all worked out.
Yeah,
and the wee ones can go there without worrying about being hassled by ICE or something like that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if they're going for a 2-week jamboree or whatever it is they do, then that's something that really should be, they should be free to do, because they're not intending to stay there. They're just going for a few weeks and come back.
Yeah, but there's been a few incidences, and lots of it has been exaggerated, though, super exaggerated.
Oh, I know.
I mean, when I went back and forth across states there, like, I found it even easier to get over when I went to lacrosse games or pick somebody up at airport or even the hockey game. I get more when I get back from the hockey game, more hassle from the Canadian side because they kept asking us if we had guns. Well, they didn't keep asking us, but they had asked us a lot of questions about what were important. And then finally, how many guns you got in there? And like when I says guns, we're Canadian. We got no guns.
Yeah. Right answer. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. I get you. All right. Speed cameras. Their program is reducing speed and collecting millions, according to reports. Niagara Region's automated speed enforcement cameras initiative is basically 3 years old in September. Program, and they're saying the program continues to give strong results. And the key highlights have been safety improvements. Data from the first year showed that significant reduction in speeding violations. Initially, there were 181 per hour in September in the original when they first opened. Now, just 60 by December, a 67% increase. And the behavioral change. The presence of speed cameras has let drivers consistently slowing down to designated community safety zones, right? So just having them has mean that we slow down in safety zones, which we're supposed to anyway. And the program's collected millions of dollars in fine, which are reinvested into road safety and infrastructure.
Yeah, this is how it's done, though. What the region has is some of its cameras are movable, so they'll take them down here and put them up there, depending on the time of year or whatever. But suffice to say, cameras are here to stay.
Yeah,
and I think we even predicted this maybe a few years ago.
Oh, we did when it first came out. Yeah,
the fact that police officers there's not enough of them to do this kind of work. I mean, it's taking up their time when other things can be done, and they could be replaced by a camera.
Yeah,
it's a lot cheaper. Plus, it's a lot more efficient because they bring in a lot more. They bring a lot more tickets to cameras. Now, a lot of people, the big complaint about them is that they're a big cash grab. That's why they're doing it. Well, they're happily bringing in a lot of cash, but on the other hand, you cannot deny the fact that people are slowing down in school zones and everything else.
Yeah,
I got a ticket.
The community safety zone is a big thing anyway, because I think the issue was that people were never slowing down there.
Well, I got a ticket doing 61 and a 50, and that was close to Greendale School, but I drove like I normally do there, and there was no kids, there was no crossing guards or anything there at that time. It must have been at the very end of the, like, it's just going to slow you down in that area just to make sure you slow down every time you go there.
Yeah.
But there was definitely, if I see crossing guards or something like that, I immediately slow down, and kids and all that. But there was no crossing guards and there was no kids anywhere in sight when I got my ticket, which kind of frosted me a bit. But then again, if it's causing me and others to slow down in that area just automatically because we know there's a camera there, then I guess it is called a success, because there are.
If you've moved from 181 per hour in September, in the first September of it, to 60 by December, you've had the desired impact with people slowing down, right?
That's right. No, I'm a very,
and especially in these.
I think of myself as a very safe driver, very observant, but I was just going along that way that I always had at the same time of day every day for months, because I that's the route I went to see my mom. Yeah. And so I was quite surprised because I've also seen cops there too, and I've never got a ticket or anything, So, so I guess, but on the other hand, that'll stay in my mind, and basically the warning was up there. They said there was a camera, and I just missed that sign, and if I had, maybe I would have slowed down. But in any case, it is successful that way. We may save a life or two or an incident or two by keeping people slowed down in those safety zones in and around where schools and hospitals or old age homes are or whatever. So you can't deny that. You can't deny the fact that it has produced the results that people wanted. The thing I don't like, though, is it just keep bumming out about Big Brother's watching you and all this other stuff. On the other hand, I can't deny the fact that the police are very expensive to do that kind of job.
Yeah.
I mean, so police could be used other places. And I don't know. It's if it's going to save a kid's life, one kid in all Ontario is worth every camera and everything you can imagine. So
one of the things,
saving one kid's life or crossing guard's life or something like that, it's worth it.
Well, when in UK, they've had these for more than 25 years. But the trouble is they're static. So what happens is everybody, if you live in an area, you know where they are. You know exactly where they are. So you go flying, slam your brakes on, flying, slam your brakes on, flying, slam your brakes on.
Well, those areas where they want you to slow down are the safety zones, so they're actually doing their job, aren't they?
Well, very often, no. And the safety zones, I get it, but they don't really use. They use them like on the main roads, on the main highways.
Well, that's a little bit different. They use them for traffic control. In these areas, they're using for traffic control in safety zones.
Yeah,
So if they do expand it to put it on the highway.
Well, I was going to say because they're permanent, there's a different attitude to them. Whereas I like the non-permanence of them because you've got to be always in control. You've got to think about is there a camera here? Yeah. Right. Because in
the United States, they have a more unique situation where they. Actually, if the cops are set up someplace with a radar, they have to let people know that it's there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it's like the freedom. So anyway, Mike Cushman says, man just got hit and killed near Greendale School. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. You're kidding me.
Yeah.
And there they have the camera. Everybody knows they have a camera.
Yeah.
So we have to find out the incidents. There's a lot of homeless people up and around that area, and I'm wondering if it's one of them. Like, because they could a lot of people just wander on the road. Around close by is the corner of Montrose and Lundy's Lane. I had a close call with one there, just walking right out. We wanted to get to the other side of the road. Didn't care what cars were coming and all. They just walked across hoping that you would stop.
Well,
of course I stopped.
There's actually, I think trouble is I've seen this about 5 or 6 times in the last couple of weeks. People walking with headphones on, people walking head down, in their cell phone.
Yeah, I had a couple incidents with kids. Same thing. They're looking at their phone. They get earbuds in. They start walking across the road where the light is green, but they're only about 1/4 of the way through when it turns red for them.
Yeah.
And if you're coming along and you're about to turn the corner or something, you might not be looking at the right way at the time. You just see green light.
There was one Saturday whereby if I wasn't paying complete attention, it's basically this person just was walking down the road and then was totally walking down the footpath, totally oblivious to the traffic, and walked straight across the entranceway and where I'm turning in. right? If I wasn't entirely mindful of the fact, and I'd been tracking her, thinking she was going to do exactly that as I would come across the driveway I went to enter into. Of course, then some idiot behind me then starts honking me.
Fatal accident. Driver of a motorcycle, 22. There was on Greendale, 22. The driver, a Hyundai, 19-year-old man, was not injured. I'm trying to find that particular one. It was June. On here it says June 12th.
No, maybe it's not in the news yet, Dave. Because
maybe not.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Moving on. I don't know how you say this. Perseids meteor shower coming. It's going to be the event of the year.
Perseid. Yeah,
I didn't know how to pronounce it.
Perseid, I think it is.
Yeah.
This I put in just as an interest thing. August is the best time for meteor showers. If you get a nice clear night and the moon is down, or in one of its lower light incarnations, particularly if you have a no moon at all, you can see some fabulous meteor showers. This is the time we go through a comet field or leftover comet debris that's been there for, I don't know, eons or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you want a real nice, spectacular night show, and I've seen a few of them, and it's this time of year coming up, and it will be just very interesting, all in all. And you'll get the ones that actually come into the atmosphere and burn out. The odd one, a very small, it'll be small meteorites that will actually make it to the ground. But you also get the ones that skip off the atmosphere. So you'll have a astral stone basically floating along. It'll skim off the top of the atmosphere. It'll like skip, and that should be a pretty long one.
Yeah,
because it doesn't really burn up. It just starts to burn up and skip and go.
Yeah. The only thing about them is we've got to be in order to see them. We've generally got to have cloudless sky. We've got to have no smoke in the sky. And with the current fire risk we talked about earlier on, that could be a problem.
Yeah, it's definitely not optimum time. We've got smoke in the air. It's the time of year we also get a lot of humidity in the air. But if you happen to be up north someplace, usually at this time of year, if it's a clear night, you're going to get a nice, very interesting. I've done that in my old cottage. I'd just be sitting there and watching one after another falling star. It's just really, really nice.
And often the best time to see them is like the early hours of the morning when the city lights are there, start to dim.
Yeah, it's just nice. It's I don't know, when you're in rural areas or something like that, that's it's really, really good. And anyway, I just put that out there as as sort of a public service, just kind of keep an eye on the skies. And if I can get the article up, I can show you where to look. Where did I put it?
Okay. What he said about this person was on CHCH News this morning.
Oh, shoot. So
you wouldn't have gotten it yet. Okay. What about the asteroid 3I Atlas is the subject of speculation about whether it could be an alien spacecraft.
What about the alien? What? Put that back. What about the asteroid 31 Atlas is the subject of speculation about whether it could be an alien spacecraft? No, I think it's a alien space bar where people just come and go, and there's entertainment there. So the aliens go there to have their fun. So it's not really it's just there. It's like that's where the aliens hang out when they want to have fun. Now, the big news, of course, is we are under threat of an asteroid coming up in about, I don't know, about 10 years' time or something like that.
Yeah, but it is not this, likely not a life-ending. It's one of the
Well, it's coming close enough that the world has already started making preparations and designing things that have nuclear warheads on them and stuff like that to go there to deflect its trajectory if it is heading too close to Earth.
Yeah, but we won't really know until it's fairly close. In any case, we'll be, you and I will be wrapped up in our old people's homes, in our blankets when it happens.
No, it's coming soon. There's one on the way.
Yeah.
But nowadays we have the advantage of seeing which ones could be of detriment to the Earth, and we do have some means by which we can deflect the trajectory.
Okay, what they're basically saying is this asteroid 3I Atlas, Mike is saying it's picking up speed. They don't understand it.
Well, anyway,
yeah,
I don't know. We might go the way of the dinosaurs.
Yeah. Okay.
All I know is cockroaches and alligators will survive. They always seem to do.
So, Air Canada flight attendants could be going on strike next week.
Yeah, this is another public service thing. Basically, I put out there, if you have tickets or planning a trip and you want to take a trip with Air Canada, but not its associates like Jazz or one of the other ones. I got to get this article up again because I read this too far long back that I can't remember exactly. But they are, if you're planning a trip, you might want to avoid Air Canada at this particular time.
But so it's not due to happen until Friday.
Yeah, so basically, if you're planning trips or anything like that and flights, avoid Air Canada for now. But it's just Air Canada, and it's not their associated airlines for the time being anyway.
Yeah.
So just be careful. The worst thing ever is getting stuck in an airport and while they try to reroute you. That happened to me once when Air France went on strike. They went on strike when I was on my way to Libya. We landed in Paris, and they said, well, too bad, we can't put you on a plane. We're on strike. And well, what can you do for us? Well, what they did is they rerouted us to Rome, and then from Rome to Tripoli. And that took like another day almost to do all that.
Yeah, because all of a sudden you found you're suddenly days, you've got to take journeys, skip journeys that you wouldn't otherwise take, right?
Well, we were angry at the time, but the fact is the young lady did get us on an Alitalia flight to Rome, and then and had booked us from Rome to Libya, but it was much later. And when you're doing that, it's a long journey anyway, and when you add another day to it, and you're just hanging around airports, it's deadly.
Yeah,
as it was another opportunity for us to get even more drunk. So in the long run, we thought, well, we're not going to be able to drink for a month, basically, or when we get to Libya, because it's illegal there. So everybody thought this is a good excuse to get even drunker than we were.
But you could have gotten, one of the things you could have done was I suppose you could have gotten onto a train and gone to Rome or something.
Well, no, what they did is they flew us from Paris to Rome, and then from Rome to Libya, rather than from Paris to Libya, or Tripoli, actually. And anyway, so Air France refused to give us too much alcohol at all because they knew how rowdy we got. We gained a kind of reputation. All these guys that went to Libya and back again And Air France quickly found out that if you feed these guys alcohol, the rest of your passengers are not going to be too happy, because there'll be a pile of rowdy guys just partying hardy, because they wouldn't be able to get booze once they get to Libya, so they overdo it on the way over. They would limit us. So once we got on Alitalia, they didn't know anything about us, so we could get all kinds of booze if we wanted. And of course, at Rome Airport, we indulged mightily. And I think the Roman Air, the Alitalia flight that took us to Tripoli, probably phoned back to Air France, "Don't do that ever again."
All right. Okay. So So flight attendants. Basically, what they're saying is that they do a number of duties prior to boarding and after deplaning, and require safety checks, assisting passengers, and under their current contract, those are unpaid, and they want the change in that.
Well, I tell you, the Air France, just coincidentally, the Air France flight that crashed in Toronto, where everybody got out by the skin of their teeth, it was the flight attendants that did it. It was the stewardesses that opened the doors and got everybody out, as the captain is online telling everybody to stay calm and stay in their seats. The flight attendants ignored them completely, opened up all the doors, got out, started getting people out. Everybody cooperated. They took all the children and passed them over their heads so the children could get out first. Everyone got out and a minute later, the whole thing went up in flames. And it was the stewardesses that saved the lives of all those people, because they were drilled. They knew to ignore the captain completely and went ahead. So hats off to the flight attendants.
Well, in fact, actually, they're probably the most important people. Could you fly without flight attendants? Not very easily, right? Honestly, they're the most important people on the flight, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the ones that are the go between. Yeah, they're the ones that make an otherwise sort of uncomfortable bus ride tolerable. Anyway, they're going on strike. So anything Air Canada, but not their associated airlines like Jazz or Air Red or whatever it is. They have Air Canada Red, I think the other one is. But so
I'm going to ask a question.
Anyway, check if you're planning a trip. Basically, if you're planning a trip and you had planned to take Air Canada, don't.
Well, I'm gonna ask a question here. It's like, well, how come we still have a nationalized airline run by the government?
Well,
and you don't have to answer that one today.
No, I don't know.
Because many countries that used to have nationalized airlines and no longer do.
What about British Airways? Is it nationalized or is it privatized?
No, it was privatized.
Like, I don't know. Basically, in a country like Canada, you might want to have a nationalized airport. Otherwise, large areas of your country will not get serviced because they're not profitable. So that's the trade-off between capitalism and socialism. Basically, in some cases, you'll need a national air. Otherwise, people will not get to the places. You won't get flights up to more remote areas or the smaller cities because no one will do it. It won't. It'll be cost ineffective.
Yeah. Well, it was when they denationalized British Airways, they did something to actually ensure those routes survived.
My first major flight was BOAC, British Overseas Air Corporation, but they didn't show up. So they were not only they were late, but they didn't even show up. So what had to happen was they had to drag a Canadian Air Canada plane that was being reconditioned. I mean, the engines were good and everything, but the inside was going to be all ripped apart and cleaned up and put anew. But because the BOAC didn't show up, they had to put us all on this jet that they dug out of service. And thankfully, the engines and everything were okay. The inside had to be fixed. Well, it was like the paint was falling off the walls in the thing, and it got us to London, though.
Another trip to Libya?
That was a trip when I was 19 years old, when I was backpacking in Europe.
Oh, okay. Well, you didn't really care what the inside of the plane looked like, did you?
No, they did. Yeah, we were a bit of a nuisance on that too, and I was a victim of circumstance there.
Well, I hope they settle it up, because
as I was on every one of those flights to Libya.
Yeah. So basically, the parties to the last communication were at the bargaining table, but they have until Wednesday. They've got to give 72 hours notice of strike or lockout, and the earliest notice can be issued is Wednesday.
Yes, so everyone, be like, if you have planned a trip, believe me, you do not want to be sitting in airports or for hours and days at a time and all this. So what you want to do is not fly Air Canada for the meantime. If find some alternative.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Ottawa is going to uphold the CRTC ruling, allowing more competition on the internet. And the interesting thing is that the Melanie Joly has basically said that they will be immediately allow for more competition on existing networks for high-speed internet services across the country. And the idea is that we're going to provide
more competition.
However, some independent carriers have been raising concerns that it will make it more difficult for them to compete against the larger players. I'm not sure how I feel on this one.
Well, right now we have an enormous our providers are a lot more expensive than most other providers. Yeah. You go to Europe, you go to US.
Other countries, yeah.
I mean,
also the other thing I'd like to point out is Bell thinks it's the fastest in the world. No, Singapore is the fastest in the world at 368 megabits.
Yeah. So we'll ask them to come over.
All right. And the thing is, Canada isn't even in the top 10 list of fastest internets in the world.
No, we're behind. Now the problem here is that this is going to force the bigger providers to share their infrastructure, the fiber optic infrastructure, which they don't like, because they said, we built it, we should have exclusive use of it. But if you know,
they didn't build it, right? So they are not the original inventors of fiber internet. Fiber internet is fiber optic networks are being used around the world.
Who puts up the money to build them?
Well, a lot of they build the networks, but that's for sure. But it's not new technology. It's
well, that's not an issue here. How new the technology is not an issue. It's who gets to use it.
Yeah,
and we can see by a lot of the advertisements in the U.S. They'll say, that's what we do. We're cheaper because we use their networks, and we can provide more. Now they have to pay to use those networks, but if you are Bell or Telus or Rogers or whatever who's built that infrastructure, of course you want to keep it for yourself. Now what the CRTC has done says, well, everyone is allowed to use that network, pay for that network, but anything new being built, that can't be used by everybody until after 5 years.
Yeah.
So anyway, it gives the company that built the infrastructure 5 years of use without having to share it. And so the very idea, this is trying to break up the monopoly that is built up in Canada. And what you want to do is to be able to provide more places with more competition to bring the price down.
The interesting thing is about this is it means that we now, you don't, in order to build an internet, you don't necessarily have to take the whole infrastructure apart. You can deal with a part of the infrastructure, knowing that you're relying upon, there's layers that have been that are already in place that are solid.
Yeah. So
you ask your son about it. Building the technology on top of on a well-known technology where there's where there's application APIs, ability to actually hook into that infrastructure, basically makes the whole thing a lot easier, and enables actually people to create faster and faster capabilities.
Well, we had a split here because Bell says, this is good. This is good for competition. But TELUS says it's no. I think it's TELUS that says no. TELUS had defended it as a way to boost competition. Okay, they're with it where it doesn't have its own network or infrastructure, which then improves affordability for customers. Bell and Rogers are the ones that argued against it. As a matter of fact, Bell instantly shelved $1.5 billion worth of investment in creating another infrastructure. So basically, the big ones are saying, if you do this, we're not going to build anymore. We're the ones that got the money to build the infrastructure. Okay, if you make a share, we're not going to build anymore. How about that? So I don't know. It'll sort itself out. But Ottawa did say, well, if you build some new stuff, you get exclusive rights to it for 5 years. And I don't know. Hopefully, this will add competition and bring down the price. But it's like a road. If you build a road and you keep it for yourself, then of course you got a huge advantage.
It's great because if only you and your employees can use it, isn't that the greatest road on the planet right now? It doesn't help you and I.
Well, what it does, what you do is you have to pay big bucks to go on that road. But if the government comes along and says, look, that road has to be open to everybody pays a toll to get on that road. And so the toll rates will go down because there's a lot more traffic. So
all right. I gotta finish it directly on 8, by the way. Can't overrun today. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping it does improve competition. I doubt it will because I don't think they've actually they haven't addressed the key factors that we have within the Canadian telecoms industry.
It's hard to see where the Canadian government can. Here you go again. Like, do we have a national network? It's hard to see where the Canadian government does not have to put up some sort of incentive to provide the more remote areas of Canada. These are very expensive to provide. They're needed. I would expect that things like satellites, like as in Starlink and others, could provide this internet connection satellite type. That might be a solution for the far north and some of the more isolated areas. But sooner or later, if you really want to be connected to the world, you're going to have reliable internet connections. And that's just the way it is. I mean, there is no other way. Like, imagine not having a telephone back in 1950, which a lot of people didn't have.
Well, we didn't. I didn't have my parents didn't have a telephone, but because in England we had to look for local calls. Many people didn't have telephones until the late 70s.
Well, yeah. So, and then if you do remember all of the what they call it, you were on a line with a lot of other people. I remember when I
Party
first got
line.
my
Party
what
line. A
party line. Yeah.
line. Yeah.
So I was on a party line up north, and it was a pain in the ass. You had a special ring, 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 and that would be your ring, right? And somebody
Yeah.
down, so you pick it up. But if you happen to pick it up, you can hear the conversation of, to make a call. You picked it up and put it to your ear. Somebody was already on the line, and so you could talk to them.
Yeah.
You can say, "Oh, please, can you hang up? We got emergency," or something like that. You could do that, or sometimes you can pick it up and just listen to somebody's conversation for a minute and then hang up. So it wasn't really that. It's not a private party line, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
Sometimes you get just complete goofs. I remember some guy who was on that party line. I'd like to have known him. He was just a drunken fool, and he was just kind of hassling. He said, you go, "Hello?" Well, what do you mean by hello? And then he just kind of everything you said, he would repeat it. Who is this? Who is this? Like that kind of thing. And he was just in his twisted mind. That was
how far we've come in all this time,
Yeah.
Because those campsites that you would have gone to years ago where you had that party line, now who cares about party lines? We've got mobile phones, and hey, my phone is as good as is as private as your phone.
It is really not a phone. It is a magic rectangle. I mean, I don't want to play chess with it. It's going to beat me. I don't want, you know what I mean? I don't want to. I'm afraid it's going to start taking me for a walk one day. Anything. It controls my life.
Yeah, but again, you and I could be in the same caravan. We'd be using our own individual phones. You know what I mean? There would be no need for a party line.
Hey, you should walk out the door. Do I have my wallet and the keys? Right now, do I have my wallet, keys, and phone? Can't live without that.
Yeah.
I just like if you recall, you'd go days and days without even out and about and without communications of any kind. If you needed to talk to somebody, you went to a payphone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, when I was a kid, we could, as I said, most people in England, we didn't have until very late 70s. We didn't have phones in the house for most people. My grandfather and grandmother were quite wealthy, so they had. So if we would call them, we'd go round on a Saturday morning and go call them.
Well, I'm waiting for this to get feet and arms so it can go get me a beer.
You're looking for a robot.
Yeah. Well, phone robot combo would be nice.
Yeah, but how can if it goes to the beer store and picks up the thing and gets to the beer store, it says, "My owner wants a Molson," and the beer store owner says, "There aren't any Molsons," and he got to call you back, and he goes, "Dave, there aren't any Molsons. What do we get?"
I would say, okay, load the lasers, let them have it. Make sure they know they're going to have Molsons. They won't make that mistake again. So yeah, I would send it in a drone. Basically, I'd put my phone in there, and the drone would take my phone to the beer store and say, "Load it up with a case of your finest."
Yeah, but then
who needs a door drop when you got a phone and a drone? Yeah. Anyway, we're getting a little bit far off of our,
Yeah. All right. So, well, it's always interesting with these kinds of technology things. According to Al Jazeera, Canada shed tens of thousands of jobs because of the tariffs.
Yeah, sometimes you need the blunt truth from someone outside. Now, Al Jazeera is a very good news outfit, extremely good. Unfortunately, they've lost one of their last journalist crews in Gaza on a trumped-up charge by Netanyahu, the whoever he is, whatever it is. Anyway, so but they're a very good news agency worldwide. So if you watch the Al Jazeera station, they're very good news. What they're not good at is reporting on Doha, of course, or the Emirates or any place around there, because but Qatar, you won't get valued coverage in Qatar, but everywhere else in the world, they are very, very good. I've seen stuff they did on China, stuff they've done all over the world, in Africa, and places that no other network goes. And in this particular case, when they look at Canada, they have nothing to hide. The CBC will downplay things. The CTV will downplay things.
Okay. What they're basically saying is we lost 40,000 jobs in July, but that's compared to a net addition of 83,000 jobs in June. So taking the unemployment rate or percentage of people out of work to percentage of people employed out of the total working age population to 60.7%.
Yes. Basically, what they're doing is from the outside looking in and evaluating the data objectively. They have no skin in the game.
Yeah.
So they look at it and they say, look, Canada's in trouble. We're shedding jobs, at least in employment. Our employment's gone up officially to about
Traditionally, though, Dave, in July and August, jobs, there's a net loss in jobs. Traditionally in July and August, except in tourist areas.
I don't know about that, but what they're reporting here is just the stark facts.
Yeah,
and they don't have a political agenda. They're objectively looking on. Now, you might explore their data to see which is valid and which isn't. But here they say Canada sheds tens of thousands of jobs as tariffs hit. Well, that's what we've expected anyway. That's what we've been warned by our own government officials, that this tariff thing flip-flops all over the place. We're going to lose jobs. We've lost jobs already in the auto industry. We've lost jobs in the steel industry right now because the steel we sell to the United States has a 50% tariff on it. So of course they're buying less, but they're also producing less in the United States because of that, because they can't afford that steel at this particular time. So all this stuff, all these ramifications will settle out sooner or later when all this is solved. Right now, Trump is under the gun because what he has done with tariffs seems to be illegal. It is contrary to the Constitution. So the court now is putting that up there, that he has abused his authority with tariffs.
Yeah.
So it may take a while for the court to pronounce on this, but if they pronounce correctly, which means that the Congress is the one that has to produce the tariffs. They're the ones that have to come up with the tariff agenda. The only reason why Trump is using it now is because of a 1977 law, which gives the president the right to use these for national security. So they can use sanctions or tariffs or any kind of economic pressure for national security. They believe Trump's gone way too far in this, and that he's outsized his outsized his authority.
Yeah. You see, one of the issues about, and I could have told you this before, no, not over this specific issue. One of the issues about having a conservative member, a large conservative body on the Supreme Court means that they are going to look at things in the traditional way, which basically will sometimes kick back against Donald Trump, because it will mean that his views which might be seen as fairly radical, will not be accepted by a conservative Supreme Court.
It's doubtful because it's even though that the Supreme Court is being stacked, most of the judges that have looked at it at this particular time have pretty much said it looks bad. The what Trump is using now is the national defense security to put punitive tariffs on Canada steel, Canada aluminum, Canada copper, other things like that, and also the fentanyl tariffs to punish us because we're not taking care of the fentanyl thing, which is a lie because we're doing what we can, and they're having the same problem as we're having. So that's just an excuse, and everybody knows it's an excuse. But it takes a while before they can rein in that power. They're given that power. That's executive power over something that is the purview of the Congress. And that's the division of powers that's so important in the United States, the checks and balances.
Yeah.
Of course, Trump was freaked out and said, oh, if you do that, then we're going to have a massive collapse and all this other. Well, not really. All they're going to do is say what you can and can't do. If you're putting a 50% tariff on Canadian aluminum, you're going to have to make your case that is going to enhance the security of the United States. If not, then you're going to have to turn it over to Congress, and Congress then will be the ones that set the tariff based on, or remove it based on the needs of the American nation.
Yeah, and that's a wise decision. It's a wise feeling by the Supreme Court there.
Unfortunately, we have to wait, and that's why Canadians are becoming unemployed. The unemployment rate's gone up to 7%. We see the automobile, the aluminum, and metal sectors drop off. Steel production, they're laying people off in the steel production area. We try to repurpose a lot of our steel and aluminum and stuff like that, but that takes time. And Mike Cushman says, for instance, saying Canada's tariffs are due to fentanyl tariffs. Yeah, that's basically it was. I mean, when you have less than 1% of the fentanyl from going into the United States, and the fentanyl actually coming the other way as well, along with illegal guns, you can make the argument that we should put tariffs on them because they're doing that, but that would hurt our economy. Yeah. But Trump knows the size of his economy, and by attrition will break us down. That's his idea. If we do this, sooner or later they'll have to give in. But the courts may have something more to say about that. Now you have all the Republicans defending Trump because they're spineless and they like to bow down to the great leader because they're afraid of him. But the courts might not be that afraid of Trump because their main purpose is to look at the Constitution, and that there are some aspects of that that cannot be wavered.
Yeah,
even if you have a staff.
And that's exactly why I say a conservative Supreme Court will even be more conservative than he wants.
What they would have to do is look at the stuff that he's tariffed and say, is it for the security of the nation? They may decide that steel and aluminum production has to be onshored for the security of the nation, but they may not. On the other hand, when they look at the one for Brazil, that will be immediately knocked out because there's nothing to it. The United States has a surplus. They sell way more to Brazil than they import, but Trump put a 50% tariff on it because of what they're doing to Bolsonaro, which is completely their own business. And obviously, the courts will say, hey, you really overstepped your bounds on that one, buddy. Hold it back. He may even have ideas about what they're doing to Japan. And obviously, and the whole thing's a big kerfuffle anyway, they put the wrong tariff on Japan, apparently. And Japan has asked, hey, it's supposed to be 25%, not 45%. And we're sorry. Trump wrote it down wrong. That was their excuse. Sorry, the president wrote it down wrong or ordered it wrong, and nobody checked his orders. So, okay, we're going to have to fix that. So it's a confusing mess. Switzerland came over to try to negotiate something or try to figure out what was going on. They couldn't even get a meeting.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to have to call it quits at that point.
All righty then. Without further ado, I bid you adieu. Do not forget Gaza. They've killed, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. They killed a bunch of journalists, said they were Hamas operatives, but will not provide proof.
Yeah.
That's what's going on there. All right. Have a great day.